Hello, everyone. We are here post Raleigh Major to do a quick philosophical discussion on which RLCS region should be expanded and which ones should be not expanded. I am joined by my co host today, Myth. If you want to say a quick hi.
Hello everyone. I'm Myth. I've been hearing about, and I'm happy to be here today. Excited to
Absolutely.
join the show.
Thank you so much. So, let's do a quick summary before we kind of start ranking regions or doing anything like that. I've got the Raleigh Major results here. Obviously, some surprises here. Carmine Corps being in 7th through 8th place. Falcons winning was also a surprise, I think, to a lot of people. But the top eight
Yeah, me
was,
included.
yeah, exactly. The top eight was heavily EU stacked. You can see four of the eight teams from EU made top eight, which is just a great result for them. NA obviously had kind of a tragedy happen on that second day of Swiss where all the other NA teams flamed out except for NRG. So that was a sad one for me. And then both MENA teams made it, and a Sam team made it, but it was secret, not Furia, which was also interesting.
Yeah, Fear kind of got bracketed. And to be fair, it's kind of on them not being Twisted Minds, but then again, Twisted beat KC, and they also got KC in round 5. So I mean, what can you do?
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of a funky bracket by Ultimates upsetting Carmine earlier in the Swiss. The kind of like, I mean, it's imagine being on a team and you get Carmine Corps in round 5 of Swiss. Like, I thought you thought you might be making top eight, but then you see that.
I've been the boss. I was a 22-23 Liquid fan, full regional 2. We got KC in round 5. Oh, that was a painful watch, especially because we went 2-1 up and wasn't able to close the series out.
Yeah, I know. You
Oh,
think you make it to round 5 and you're like, okay, so these are the teams that didn't just immediately play great and go right through. These are the teams that are kind of on a similar level. And then you see like the teams that were left, like Furia, Carmine Corps, Ultimates. I mean, I forget who else was in top around 5 of Swiss. I'd have to look it up, but it was kind of a brutal event for that. But EU definitely made it through, and they should be proud of everyone making it into top 8. That's a huge result.
yeah, I agree.
Birmingham major recap also. So this one less EU team made it because from what I remember, Dignitas and GK had to play in round 5, so only one of them could make it in that circumstance. So 3 of the teams were EU, 2 were NA, 2 were MENA, and 1 was SAM. And I think arguably this was a much better result for NA, not just having 2 in the top 8, but also having Ultimates go grand final. Um,
I was actually there in person about that. That was a really fun thing to watch. Uh, yeah,
nice, because yeah, they really kind of outdid most people's expectations. Pretty much.
yeah, of course, especially after well, let's say how it is though. In the Choke versus Genji in the final regional, they absolutely should not have lost that.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, to be honest, I feel like the better reality is the one where they win that because I'm of the opinion that San Diego, Winter 2023 is the worst LAN of the Open era. And honestly, if Altus had won that, that retroactively improves San Diego and just would have been hyped to see Ultimates, FK get his revenge on Vatira for that event.
Yeah. The next topic I want to talk about was, based on this season's results and obviously some historicals as well. If you could only add one region spot and it wouldn't just like destroy the bracket. So this is totally theoretical. Don't worry about, well, now there's 17 teams going instead of 16. Who of these regions do you think deserves that spot? And I put the current team that's ranked there, but this is really more about the region itself. So I'd like you to go first.
Well, I mean, the obvious answer is Europe,
Yeah, it is.
because I don't really feel like I need too much explaining. Like, my answer for my home, give me OCE. I love my boy Fiber. Get him on LAN. Come on now. Uh, I mean, I don't really know. I think it kind of just goes in. Well, it's just descending order and how much they deserve. I mean, you probably rank APAC over OCE in terms of getting another spot. But aside from that, Kind of just ascending order here is kind of well going
It's
upwards.
relatively
How
already
much?
ordered. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I think the only thing that, might pain me to say a little bit as an NA fan is like seeing how good the two teams from MENA have been doing this year compared to the four teams from NA. I do kind of lean toward, well, first I want to say EU5 definitely makes the most sense to me to add. But if you had to add another one after that, I actually lean towards MENA 3 just based on how the two teams that they've been sending to LAN have been doing. And compared to the four teams that NA has been sending to LAN, even though I'm definitely
yeah.
NA biased, I'm kind of putting MENA above NA for a slot here.
I kind of have a bit of a weird take on this. Mina, I feel like it's a very top-heavy region.
Yeah.
Of course, I feel like in terms of native talent, I know this is a bit of a stereotype. I know it gets said a lot, but I really feel like it's only really Falcons and Nupo who are top talent. I feel like my best analogy of thinking about this, right, is that at the end of 2024 season, after Ahmad retired, Chris Wines had SMW and Moss, and at the time were the fifth and sixth best players in MENA. Like maybe sixth, seventh, maybe fifth, seventh. I don't know, right? But they were definitely in top three behind the obvious big four, right? And they got Nupo with them. Yet they still decided to kick Boston and SMW for Atomic and Rise. And I really do feel like it's a it's kind of a weird situation because it's very top heavy. I don't feel like Team Vision would do anything internationally. I feel like they would do worse than Complexity or hell, even maybe like a Shopify Rebellion
Mm.
or whatever else you want to throw in that conversation.
Yeah, I think that's a fair take because the other thing that we don't have to go too into the weeds about, but is I think as you add slots, like if you add MENA 3, EU teams are going to be competing to get that third spot in MENA. Like you're going to have
Yeah.
you're going to have some imports and then you're going to have some full teams, kind of like what SSA had to deal with this season and the last couple seasons where by adding that third slot, you are going to add more, I guess, bubble
Yeah.
tier EU players just because it's like physically closer and maybe a little bit easier than some of the other regions to play in, especially online. But
Yeah. I do feel like a rule limiting imports. I feel like if we're going to have this conversation, we do have to look at it in a world where no restrictions on imports versus with restrictions on imports.
yeah, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's a good designation to make because it does probably change some things. Because one of my arguments, I could make an argument for every single region spot here just for the sake of arguing, I guess. But to me, it's kind of like I probably I don't think anyone really wants to see two SSA teams in there, but it does kind of rub me the wrong way that the only team they get to send is an import team and their second place team is their local, homegrown talent. And it just kind of feel like, man, if anyone should get a second spot, it's these regions that are getting beat up by these import teams.
Yeah,
And then they're kind of
it's
a
quite interesting.
walkover like at the LAN, but at least we have some representation, I guess.
I'm quite interested to see how many like OCE, SSA, and APAC teams will they give another region LCQ a go. Like from what I remember, SSA it's definitely on the edge, but you can get a connection to Europe from SSA. It
Mm-hmm.
is would be pretty bad though. So I mean, maybe some SSA teams give it a go. Uh, yeah, these regions do kind of need support, and I do feel like imports and the spot adding more spots. I also think maybe even would encourage imports because right now, if you're an import team, look at SSA, you have to try and go looking at okay, can we realistically beat third?
Right.
And if you add a second SSA spot, it's like okay, now can we beat Limitless? And
Yeah.
I think is it just a tier above Limitless?
Yeah. Yeah. And I agree with you. And the results prove that as well. It's not like Foot didn't dominate that region, uh, at all their opens or whatever. I think the only other argument too is like you could make an argument that less so focused on results, more so focused on like, I guess for lack of a better term, like the economy of RLCS is like, imagine if RLCS was big in APAC and there was, you know,
Oh,
a huge following in the APAC esports market. And
Korea might be the only country to take down France.
yeah, exactly. Imagine if there
Oh my
was like
god.
teams from all these different APAC areas, because I think APAC's more
Oh,
likely than OCE to bring in like a deep talent pool based on the other,
yeah,
esports in the world. So to me, like my
yeah.
dream world is APAC with like 4 slots, and there's just a ton of talent and fan support coming from there, and lands in like Tokyo or something. That would be amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that one Japanese streamer sort of recently do like a Rocket League thing and kind of brought in a lot of people.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I
Yeah, so I
mean,
mean,
we all love Rocket League, and that kind of what got us started in RLCS. At least I don't.
yeah, of course.
Yeah,
I do think it's a little sad that I feel like it is kind of dominated by inputs. Like, I kind of, I have a bit of a, I don't really like the mindset that a lot of people have in the community right now that just kind of accept. I feel like teams like Virtus Pro should be looked down on a little bit more than they actively are. But yeah, they have Sphinx, and yeah, he of course he's a native and he's like really good,
yeah,
arguably their best player. But that's still a two-thirds import team,
right.
and I don't. I feel like it depends on the way you look at it. It's quite a complicated situation. I don't want to discriminate based on like the talent of a player. Like I'm completely fine with someone like Raziers moving to OCE because he's like in EU, he was about the level of a top OCE player. So it's like it's not really dominating the region at all.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's kind of I don't know. It's really complicated. It's like team of three EU GC3s moved over to SSA. I wouldn't really care because realistically, they're not going to be limitless.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That is kind of an interesting thing, and it does seem like it happens. Like EU usually is the place that exports the most talent. I mean, there's probably some examples on the this list of people from NA going one place or another, but it does seem that like EU is like that. I don't know how much that changes if you go to 5 or 6 slots, because there's so much depth in EU that those players like Raziers, they still weren't going to be on like a top 6 EU team, so they probably are still going to be looking elsewhere.
Yeah,
So I guess just to quickly summarize before we move on to the next one, we both agree that EU5 makes the most logical sense. And then from there, I think you could make arguments both based on results at LAN and also just based on like where do you want the esport to go over time. Now, if we had to power rank the actual teams that take these spots, I also added an EU6 because Ninjas in Pajamas are in there, and it's just one of those teams that kind of always breaks your heart every time you watch them because they can't seem to catch a
I was
break.
like
Yeah.
I was like a sort of nip support, but I kind of gave up on them by like halfway through because I just wanted them to show me something. Like their best win all season was like I mean, it's either inconsequential matches of Casey or Vitality, or just that one game 7 against against mates with Redosid.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of a just one of those teams. To me, it kind of hurts because I generally am a big fan of Nas, and I try to catch him streaming on Twitch when he streams his games, and I think he's a
Yeah,
seems like a nice guy.
Oski Liquid Guy.
Hmm.
I have to rep the boys from then.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah,
of
like
course.
everything on paper makes you want to like this team, but then when you watch them play, you're like, how is a team with this 3 players just not making it
I don't
happen?
know. It actually kind of fell off badly, in
I
my
mean, I
opinion.
get that's how they're looking at it too, because I believe they just swapped him out for Radosin for
But
the
that's the
last year.
rumor. Yeah,
Yeah.
apparently he's looking to retire. Honestly, though, give
Ah.
me a chronic on that team, man. I need a chronic on that team, bro. It would. Oh, damn. That would be amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
To me,
Who
they don't
knows?
really have many. You quickly touch on that. They don't really have many great options outside of Redosans. So I can kind of see why they're doing it. I
Yeah.
mean, is that like I don't even know, man. Who else is actually good in Europe? Like maybe like Pro or a Chronic.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, pulling one of those other top players from like a top 8 team that just couldn't quite make it.
take, take a gamble on Alpha 54. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows how many hours he's been playing the game recently. You have
He's
to.
actually been grinding for game goes, but he's at the top of leaderboards and stuff.
Oh, nice. Yeah, so maybe he's a better pickup than I would have thought. Because actually, you know what's funny? Without going too much into history, I I always knew Zen was the best player on that Vitality squad where it was Alpha, Rado, and Zen. But that rookie year for Zen, I forget. I guess that would have been 2 seasons ago. I always remember
Yeah.
always being so impressed by what Alpha 54 was doing. And then when he
Bro,
was like the first one out, I was kind of like, what? He's like one of the best players ever.
I mean, to be honest, it made sense. I think he was very poor in 2024. He only had
Yeah.
like, he had the occasional series. The only one that comes to mind is against Fury, in the bracket of Copenhagen.
Yeah.
But honestly, I do think Alpha doesn't get enough respect for what he was doing on that Vitality team.
Right.
Like, in my opinion, I do this thing where, kind of, on Twitter sometimes where I go, look at every major and decide who feels me to give overall offensive defensive MVP. Who do I give it to? And for Boston, I think Alpha should have gone the offensive MVP
Mm-hmm.
over Zen.
Yeah.
I mean, then again, I kind of dislike the practice of giving one player two awards. But hey, even then, I do think that Alpha is a better choice. 'Cause he was lights out versus BDS in that final. He was so good versus KC.
Yeah. Yeah, from what I'm remembering from that series is he was also like he was hitting a bunch of really mechanical plays that you wouldn't always see from him. And so he kind of showed
Yeah,
that he could do it.
that ceiling shot over Exotic in
Yeah.
Game 7 OT, that was clean.
Nice. Well, I've digressed us a little bit here, but would you generally
Oh, we both have to.
would you generally agree with this listing, or where would you slot ninjas on this list?
I honestly don't know. It's just you can go either way between them and Complexity.
Yeah.
I feel like Complexity got unlucky this split. Like the whole LJ situation, like a do or die match against SSG, and considering Complexity are like notorious chokers, like the entire history of the org is just like this is saying I like. Well, if you look
Yeah.
at all of in 22, 23, right? If you look at all of Complexity's best results, it goes like this: the time I nearly beat FaZe, the time I nearly beat Vitality, the time I nearly beat Liquid, and the time I nearly beat KC. I think that's a perfect way of summarizing Complexity as a team. They're just jokers. Yeah, but that's just focused too on my own about, so it's completely their fault.
Yeah. On this list, on the bottom half of this list, are you good with Sam 3, OCE 3, APAC 2, SSA 2? Do you think that's a fair list? Like, does Godfidence beat Healthy
Uh,
Chiefs?
uh,
That's a toss up, right?
I'll be honest, I haven't watched like a ton of tape on Godfidence.
Yeah.
I mean, Sam was just a two. Was every no 5 out of 6 finals was just Furious Secret, right? If I remember correctly.
I believe you're correct on
Confidence was
that. Yeah.
yeah, Confidence was the only time and because Secret got unlucky in bracket and had to play Fiera early.
Yeah.
That was the only time
Yeah.
that Secret didn't make finals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I
Whereas
remember
we
them.
got Chiefs at Birmingham.
I'd probably take him over. You got Astromic and Bem's LAN experience. I don't think Bem's is great, and I haven't seen enough Suko to make a fair judgment. But I always thought Astromic was quite good. Well, I can see that going either way. I can also see Koi being better than both. With
Interesting.
How good VP has been. I mean, of course, depends on like what day or how good VP is, and Koi's played them. Koi's definitely a tier below VP, but like they're still. Okay. Sorry, answers. I woke up way
Yeah.
too early today.
Oh, you're good. Yeah. That team, Ocelon, Tekos, and Tho, however you want to say it, um, is also super strong. So I kind of like moving them up as maybe slotting at least on similar tiers as the Chiefs and Godfidence, maybe potentially better. I think Limitless is probably
Yeah,
still
honestly,
at the bottom though.
I feel like you can kind of go any way on 7 through 4. I really don't rate Team Vision.
Mm.
I think MENA is just a really, as I said, it's a massively top-heavy region, man. I feel like I don't think Vision could genuinely go 0-3 at a LAN,
Yeah.
which I feel like there's such a massive disparity between top two and the third best team in the minute. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're onto something there. If I move on to the last chance qualifiers, I think to me, the first question I had on here was, do we disagree with any of these regions? And I think the answer for me is no. Those look like the regions to use.
Oh no, yeah, of course. I mean, as much as I love to see OCE because OCE is one of the most cinema regions. I don't know how we mentioned it every single season. They have the most banger race for the World Championships you've ever seen, bro. It's
Yeah.
wild. It always comes down to the wire in that region. That's what makes it so fun.
Yeah, you're right. It is like if you're not too attached to one team, it's a great place to be. And if you're attached to a team, it's a terrible place to be because you're gonna see your team.
I got lucky because I'm a bit of a Super Lucky fan. Super Lucky and Five are my
Oh, nice,
two main guys in that region.
nice. Yeah, I had been.
I'm probably leaning a bit more Super Lucky, so
Yeah, I had Banana Head on my
yeah.
top 25 player list as my only OCE player, but I think I may redo that for Worlds and swap him for someone else because I do think OCE, like the top talent of OCE, does like butt into that top 25 players in the world, but they're definitely nobody. Like I saw T Bates put Banana Head at like 5 or something like that. It's like that's completely absurd take.
Yeah, OG's in a bit of a rough spot. I was
Yeah,
pleasantly surprised how well TSM did. I think they slightly overperformed compared to my expectations,
yeah,
which is fun.
yeah,
Like they played like even though it was a sweep, they played a semi-close series versus Vitality
yeah.
and beat Furt, which I didn't expect them to. I thought they'd lose there, and they took a game of secret. So fair enough.
Yeah, I know. It was kind of a nice bounce back for some of these other regions. And I think,
Yeah, this was definitely the LAN of the minor regions.
yeah, yeah, which is good to have. That helps. I feel like that just opens up a
Yeah.
lot. As much as we love watching these teams, we always say are the best win. Um, Having these other teams beat them or have upsets just adds more drama and excitement to the esport, which I think just makes it more fun to
Yeah,
watch
but
for people.
how we're going naturally, this all leads into another Monkey Moon Worlds win. Is we can't have anything nice.
Yeah, we'll see about that. I need to.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind it. A three-time world champion in the open era would do. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, that would definitely solidify him as the pretty much undisputable GOAT. But obviously, people are always going to dispute everything no matter what. Uh, but
Yeah, it's still getting really hard to. I think his longevity is definitely underrated in my opinion.
yeah, yeah, for
Like in
sure.
fact, he's still making land top fours. Like kind of 5 years on from his debut. Uh, I know because I think the record is like 6 years at the top right with like JNAPs, right? So
Mm,
Monkey Moon's still making lands in 2026, which I suspect he will be.
yeah, yeah. I don't think that's a ridiculous take at all, based on his level and how
Yeah.
he seems to approach the game. I mean, maybe. Uh,
Yeah, plus I
yeah.
mean, leveling up worlds is like if they win, I don't think they stick if they win. If they can get someone like off Casey, like an Atto or a Drally, bro. Forget Zen Drally Monkey Moon at like 2026 Worlds. It's gonna go crazy because Zen and Drally and Monkey Moon like the buff Monkey Moon gives his teammates. Oh, it's gonna be crazy peaks.
Yeah, every other
No,
team
no.
is just gonna get chainsawed basically at that point. Yeah. Um, but before I, go too far off here, were there any other teams that you wanted to highlight for this last chance qualifier? Teams that you're really high on or optimistic about, or you say like, look out for these guys?
Well, Alquadzia,
Yeah.
my goat Toxic, who I think has been underrated for a long, long time. I think he's kind of but he's unfortunately Tox is famed for missing land by one spot.
Yeah.
I saw something the other day. The recent. Did you watch RLCS?
I don't think so. I have to like double check.
Well, the reason he was so good in RLCS is because there was no lands to qualify for. It just makes sense.
It was all online.
I don't know. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, there's definitely a factor there. I mean, um, playing in front of a crowd, as much as we say it's the same game that these people have put 10,000, 20,000 hours into, that does change. So, some
Yeah.
people
But
just being in an unfamiliar environment is
I
enough to
like.
throw off their game.
I mean, it's based on some recent. Achilles was talking ship yesterday. I found a lot of teams, bubble teams in EU are looking to stick like BDS, BSK, ATM, 100%. A lot of three letter names, letter names rather.
Yeah. You said they're looking to stick.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, I guess BDS to me is kind of a dark horse in this. I also I was very high on
No.
100% at the start of the year, and it seems like they just have gotten worse every time they've played. I don't know what's going on there.
I kind of saw that coming. I feel like a lot of these teams, they're just there's a lot of. I feel like you use fame to one split wonders. Like I feel like
Mm,
uh and NA to be honest. Like, do you remember M80 in 22-23 with Lion Blaze, Ursi and Kinsey?
yeah, I remember that was kind of a flash in
They
the
were
pan.
really good in winter, but then they just couldn't really do anything later. And there's also examples like
Yeah.
uh no, I was just thinking of someone. Gosh, I hate to say it, you can make an argument for Hogan mode. Uh, none of those players are making anywhere close yet. Maybe Resi
Yeah.
since.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of a
Yeah,
unfortunate, interesting trend that does seem to happen.
yeah. I always felt BDS was Ascent Core was overrated slightly because they beat Mates, of course, but knowing what we do now about Mates, they were not a good team in Split One.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
you're right. That does put an asterisk on that one.
I was probably I was surprised by how badly it did in Split Two. I thought it would do better.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I kind of feel like for NA, I don't know who to expect. I wouldn't necessarily put. I almost feel like Team Evo is more likely to do better than Shopify Rebellion, but I don't know. I hope that's not the case. But yeah,
Evo's such a thing. Evo to me is purely the team I can laugh at, but Speed is doing well in NA after like he made his
yeah,
like his second event in NA, he makes top four after not being able to do a season 9.
yeah. That one was a bit of a
So I mean,
hopefully a wake up call for a lot of the NA teams. I don't know.
yeah, I don't think great complexity to make it. Like they're not like a fun team. I don't think I like the team. I think CRR is underrated. Frosty seems cool enough, and Diaz. I have no idea what to think about Diaz.
Yeah, yeah. I still think
Diaz is kind of just
he's very much a developing player, and we shouldn't be like putting this mantle of him needing to be this hard carry or anything on him yet.
he's
He's still developing.
he's such a strange player to me because Split One in 2024, he was on W7M with Morales and Wisty. The kid was balling, bro. This kid was like popping off.
Yeah,
So it's like going crazy. Then Split 2, he gets picked up complexity. They choke, don't make the LAN. And he goes to NA, and they are. I believe I called them a wet napkin of a team, but like was such a boring team with Raze Ball. They pick up Frosty, get screwed over by LJ's internet,
yeah.
and yeah.
Yeah, that's like lore that we're gonna have to talk about as these players' careers develop. As like, what if they had gotten a hotter start at the beginning of their careers? Because I feel like Frosty and Diaz are kind of both in that boat where it's like we are seeing flashes of brilliance and we are seeing good results, more or less for them, but it's definitely not the same like level of expectation as what we're seeing with this space station gaming team.
City is also just a strange team. I kind of predicted them not to do well on LAN, but I thought they'd be better.
Yeah, I had them making top 8, and they weren't too close to doing that. Well, I don't know. I guess you could debate any of that, but yeah, they kind of broke my heart a little bit. But it's this is the beginning for them, so I think there's everyone in NA is very excited about how good that team is going to be in a year or two. So to expect a bunch of,
I kind of feel like,
okay.
Sadly, I feel like that team's going to get picked for parts of the off season. I feel like NRG, unless by some miracle they might win World, which I just can't see, are gonna. I feel like NRG looking strange. I feel like Daniel's the only one safe. Like I feel like it'll probably be Atomic, not even though he's in better than Beast mode. Because Beast mode's been poor, but I feel like he has higher peak and basically just younger than Atomic.
Yeah.
So I feel like if they maybe get like an FK or an SSG player.
Yeah.
Like I think Reveal would slot in very well in place of Atomic.
That could be interesting.
I don't know, I feel like maybe we could keep one or two players SSG and like grab some even more of a young talent, like I don't know, Life or someone.
That could be kind of cool. SSG just being kind of like a player incubator type thing. If anything,
Yeah.
if I had to speculate, I would say maybe Ultimates poach Atomic, and it's Atomic first killer LJ, and then Chronic maybe goes and plays with another high level team in NA. Maybe there's not too many to talk about, but I could see, because they were already kind of moving Chronic out, and then they were like, well, actually, you're still the best dance partner we have, so let's keep dancing.
They made the finals of a major, so
Yeah.
I feel like if it didn't, I feel like if Ultimates hadn't performed in Birmingham, like they maybe on 7th of April, hell, even out on Swiss,
Yeah.
they could have probably kicked Chronic by making a major, and he was actually really good, that lad.
Yeah. Yeah, and honestly, I'm very high on Chronic. I actually have him ranked higher than LJ on my player top 25 player list. So
LJ is so weird because I feel like there's a lot of things I was saying he can't play with top talent, but I don't know. Never that's quite. I think you can only play with some types of top talent. Just to make a team for him, I pick Atomic and Chronic.
yeah. Yeah, I'm optimistic about LJ still. I think I underrated him, and he's done better than the last time I rated him. So I think I need to move him a little bit higher. But I don't think
Yeah,
he's
well,
close to like top. I don't think he's quite top 15 yet. But I do think he's certainly a strong player.
his famed racism ball has failed him at Birmingham. So Raleigh.
Yeah, for anyone that
Yeah.
doesn't have the background on that, it seems like LJ statistically does better against teams from other regions.
Sam and Mina.
Sam and Mina, yeah. So they call it racism ball, which is
And
kind of an
teams.
inappropriate joke, but unfortunately the stats support that. So it's become a bit of a meme, but hopefully he can overcome that.
There's a region spots. So if you had 16 spots, you're in charge of. Here's the thing. In terms of spots, what I think is quite interesting. I feel like there's a lot of like realism versus like.
Oh, sorry, I lost you there in the last sentence.
I was kind of I feel like there's a difference between what I want and what I think will happen.
Mm.
So I don't think NA and EU are ever going to have a different amount of spots, right? And I feel like
Probably not. Yeah.
they're all going. I mean, every region having at least one spot, right? And I feel like we're going to keep Sam and Mina at 2, right? So I only leave one spot left, right? Now, maybe you could give it to the last LAN winner. But again, I really don't know how I would feel about that because I don't feel like last LAN can hurt, especially in transitions between seasons.
Yeah.
It can really hurt. It can hurt quite a few regions. So I really don't know. Like maybe do playing. I feel like if I had to pick a region out of OCE, SSA, and APAC to get another spot, personally, I pick OCE because They are sending native talent and they're not sending imports. So I feel like I'm kind of
Yeah.
happy with how it is now.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have any major qualms
What I do,
about how it is currently set up, but I
obviously,
yeah.
best case scenario is that Epic Games decide they love burning money and putting a billion to million quid into sending every team from top 16, every region. They will get paid a million quid per goal or something. I don't know. And the entire population of the world becomes hooked on RLCS. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course it's more hypothetical.
Yeah. Well, I think that's probably a good spot to wrap this. And I ended up talking about more different things than I was kind of planning on. So
Yeah,
hopefully,
sorry, I've been yapping way too much.
no, not at all. No, I really appreciate all the insight and your opinions. I just, you know, if I'd wrap this for the people in the comments, I'd say, let us know what you thought. If you disagree with any of our points here, anything like that, send them on the video. And the best place for people to find more of your content, Myth, is.
I like Twitter and it's same at Mythalieon. I also have a Twitch stream where I'm planning on doing something quite soon with a cross selection of talent from the RLCS community. As for my Twitter, I'm also on Reddit and YouTube. I have a quite fun video on YouTube where I debate roster rumors, and it also turns into a bit of shenanigans with a bit of a funny moment with a bit of confusion over over one guy's nationality. You have to cut that out if just take that out to find out what I mean. It's a good moment. And yeah, thank you so much for having me, 50.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you so much. It's a good time.
Thank you so much. All right, guys. Take care.